So we're 15 minutes away from a possible record contract. We've got Alcopop Records coming down to see us. Feel really lucky to be in this situation, I guess, because hundreds and hundreds of bands don't even ever get this far. Don't really know what's going to happen, but I guess we'll see.
Rich Mandel taught himself to play guitar. Rich works as a chef in a local restaurant and can't wait to hang up the apron. Phoebe Cross plays drums, sings. Phoebe's an office worker. Neil Mandel, bassist, a film editor in independent television. Three musicians making a bid for success as the pop group, Happy Accidents.
So you come from far?
Executives have travelled down to a local practice studio to see the group. It's every young pop musician's dream. The private gig, the handshake, the champagne, that lucrative record contract.
Hi guys, this is Jack, Alcopop Records.
Hi.
Hiya. Jack, this is Happy Accidents. Phoebe drums, Neil bass, Rich guitar vocals. Hey. Everyone ready?
Yeah,
let's go.
Ready
to go?
Right, okay, cool.
If the deal is signed with the London label, it won't be the group's first record, but it will be their main shot at stardom.
So I came down to London about 8 years ago to do a degree in culinary studies, and basically I got to the end of it and realised I didn't want to be a chef, but then what else could I do, if that made sense? So basically I needed something to look forward to, and I've always been into music, and so my brother, who was of a similar vein, we picked up guitars and played through my stereo system, and we kind of blew up the stereo system, which is pretty funny. So then we kind of started a band and we played around the local venues. It was all going really well, and then after about 6 months, people started liking it, which was really cool. And we thought, yeah, this is it, sort of the big time fame. We went to Central, to a grotty little pub, and realised that this wasn't fame, and then kind of just collapsed back to our parents' house, kind of disheartened. And I guess after that, we met Phoebe, who's our drummer now, and Phoebe and I decided to start another band, and that's where Happy Accidents comes in.
Well, after we played a few gigs, we thought the next logical step was to create a Facebook page. And then we thought we should probably record some music, so we went down to a studio in Southampton and recorded some demos, and didn't think we'd get nearly as good a thing as what we did get, which was really cool. And then luckily I bumped into Catherine, who really liked them and suggested that we release them on tape.
I first heard Happy Accidents. It must have been late spring, and it was this record here that I first heard. And I was kind of immediately struck by a kind of raw freshness of the band. That, you know, in the face of all these modern synthesizers, in this age where it's become so fashionable to use them, here are a young band who are playing orthodox instruments, and they're kind of bringing to the forefront the kind of music I hope we get to see in the south of England, basically.
However well the record has done so far, there is no sign yet of being able to give up the day job.
Want some milk?
Yeah, sure.
Tough, there isn't any!
Oh, stop being silly.
I'm sorry.
So I sent a record up to this label in Oxford called Big Scary Monsters, and they sent a lovely letter back saying they listened to it, but it just wasn't what they were looking for.
Fair.
But I just thought, I bet they didn't even listen to it.
Like they never do.
I know, so I actually sent another record up, but this time rather than a vinyl, I put a bit of cardboard in it.
No record?
No, and they actually sent another lovely letter back, but this time they said, oh, we listened to it, but it wasn't what we were looking for, so the exact same thing again.
Just goes to show, doesn't it?
I know.
Happy Accidents have built up a strong local following and continue to play live in pubs and clubs in the capital. In September 2017, they get what they cautiously agree is their first break. Dean Montague has worked in the music business since the 90s, as a musician, a fixer, a PR man. Now he's set up in London as a manager whose business is signing local bands.
What can I say? I'm very interested in the band, and you know, we ought to be talking if you feel the same way.
So what can you do for us then?
Well, initially I can offer you credible representation throughout London, There's no use thinking, you know, we're in a band, why isn't anyone signing us up, offering us a record contract? It just doesn't work like that. You've got to show these people that you mean business.
But what about the control that you'd have over our image?
So if I try to create an image for someone, it's never going to work, right? Because they're going to be discontent, and I'm going to be discontent because the image doesn't live up to my expectations. It's never going to be that perfect product. And that creates friction. And friction isn't something I like, it's not my line of work. You know, you are the image. It's your responsibility to project your talent and your personalities onto the world so they get an accurate representation of who you are.
Yeah, but how about the control that you'd have over our music?
I don't think I do have any control over your music, quite frankly. I mean, your music comes from within you, it's your expression. I'm the member of the band that sells your music. I love your music. Even if I could think of a way to change your music, I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's all very well, but I just don't really trust him. Not only that, I just don't really like the thought of him dressing us up in loads of nice pretty clothes and making us smile.
I mean, I don't either, but I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. I mean, like he said from the beginning, he'll stick to the business and we'll stick to the artistic side.
It's just him glaring at us the whole time.
I know, but I think out of all the sharks that we've seen, he's one of the nicer ones.
Is there such a thing?
Yeah, they have nicer teeth.
The day after signing the management contract, Montague arranges that first private gig for Happy Accidents, and Alcopop Records, down from London, have the first chance to sign what Montague's now calling the most exciting sound in the South.
Everyone ready?
Yeah,
Let's go.
I think so.
Ready, go.
Right, okay, cool.
I've been needing to speak Yeah, so after the onslaught, I think probably my favourite was the third track. What was that one called?
Oh, that's called Act Naturally.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good tune. Like,
cheers.
A really good tune. So yeah, tell me about the band. Like, where have you come from? Have you been in bands before?
We haven't really been in bands before this one. We met at university and then we kind of just weren't really studying, we were jamming and just all these songs came out, this music, and it just kind of felt right. And
so as you know, we've had the opportunity now of having a couple of record companies look at us, and there are a few comments. I don't want to pass judgment on whether they're right or wrong right now, but I think I should relay them on to you. I think probably if we just take it one thing at a time. So one of the things that was said was that the band appeared to be a bit too much like a college band, too sweet and nice. Not really very dangerous, like you had your little badges on and things like this.
Dangerous?
Yeah, well, they just thought you could afford to be a bit more adventurous.
What, like threatening?
Yeah, one of the things being said, particularly about yourself, is that you seem over eager to please. Like, hi, I'm Rich, I'm a really nice guy. They definitely think that you could act a bit more dangerous. The other thing that was being said was about Phoebe, actually. They thought you had a real sullen approach, and you ought to, in fact, take this further, be the real nasty girl in the group.
Sullen? I'm not sullen, not naturally sullen.
Well, that's what they said. Those were the main points.
But that's all image.
Yeah, but, well, image comes from yourselves. It's your job to decide on what image. They thought you were quite charismatic, actually.
But if it's all image, then that's fine. Because I guess music's a little bit harder to do because the music comes from within us and it's in like our souls. But, I mean, we've not put any thought into the image, right? So we pretty much, if we put some real effort into that, I think that won't be as much as an issue. I think we can work on it and we can be better.
Well, I think the image basically has evolved. You obviously saw how they looked on day one. They look good to their friends, but most people want to buy something special when they buy a record. And they want to buy it from a special person. A celebrity. Someone that looks good and sounds good.
But despite the new image, there's still no sign of any real success.
Well, we still don't have a record contract. Played some gigs to some labels, and Domino and Merge came to see them. And what they basically said was that they like the music, but they don't like the package. And when pushed, it turns out the package means the image. And we kind of asked for a little bit more detail on that, and they said that what they really don't like was the front person, i.e. me. Apparently, I'm not the face of 2018, which is fair. So basically, I'm not pretty enough. And so if you're pretty, you can get on top of the pops. And if you're not, well, then you're not. And I'm not. So what they said was that we might have more luck if Phoebe was the front person. And so we're making that change, and it's not the end of the world because Phoebe sings a lot of the songs anyway, so it doesn't really feel like that much of a change in terms of lineup, etc.
Like when the record company came to us the first time, the first record company, we were so naive back then. Like, it was ridiculous. I mean, now we've had another 3-4 record companies come see us since then. Yeah, we kind of just look at it more sensibly. Like, if we think if they're not going to like us, then they don't like us. Like, it's not really our problem. We just don't build ourselves up for it too much, I guess. Never mind, we kind of think we were just dropped by Dean, our manager. But we're over it, we're okay with it. I reckon. And if what they're trying to make you do is you anyway, that's fine. But what we're kind of against is like people trying to change our image and change, what we're about and what's really ourselves. Like, I think that's what we object against. Any sort of relationship, music, personal, business, it's got to be by agreement, really.
So you're not prepared to do anything to get that magic record contract?
No, not anything. One sec. Hello?
Hi, yeah, is that Happy Accidents? I'd like to offer you a Magic Record contract.